All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to the Muslims. If you're not Muslim yet, then inshallah you will be soon. Inshallah. Um, so I started my last I started the last video um talking about the situation where I found myself on TikTok for probably the third time. Let me start here. I made a video on my TikTok because I often am very critical of people who allow social media to disrupt the flow of their real life, or to disrupt their mood in their real life, right? So whenever you're overly critical of something, you have to be careful because Allah might test you with that. And today, Allah did just that, right? I was so upset because I basically found myself 2 days ago on a Muslim live who normally I have a good relationship with, right? But because nowadays men are so catty and so emotional like women, um, they started tripping on me. So I just left, right? And then today I ended up in a Christian live. I started out just listening. Often I'll listen to Christians like debating because I'm trying to, figure out how uh, how my Christian family justify, rationalize their Christianity, and that is something that I don't think I'll ever understand. But hearing people who are, quote unquote, knowledgeable about Christianity and talk to people who are not is. Why are you up here?
Mommy told me I could come up here.
For what?
For nothing. She just said I could come up here.
I'm doing something, so go downstairs.
You're doing something? But Mommy said I could come up
I'm
here.
saying go downstairs.
Okay.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Where was I? So basically, when you overly critical about the way that people choose to live their lives, or back this up some, maybe that's why. Sorry, wrong way. And there we go. Now that's automatic. Shit. Catch me. That's it. Nope, there's no manual. My bad. All right, so today I was on a Christian live and I got disrespected so bad. Like I flipped, right? Now that's usually out of my character, right? I don't usually allow myself to get upset about things in my real life, let alone on social media. So I think it just built up, and this is probably a lot, checking me again because the Muslim brother, who tripped on me was going through some stuff similar. And I'm gonna get into that. Let me speed it up though. All right, so a couple days ago, I'm in a Muslim chat. I'm in a Muslim live. We talking to. I started, and I addressed this in the last video, but I started talking about another Muslim came on there who had some different belief. I don't know if he was a Qurani or what, but he came on there and saying that Allah, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last prophet, but he's not the last messenger. The host ended up just kicking him off after, like, kind of grinding him up. First thing I said is, if you believe that, then you you can't be Muslim, because that breaks the first tenet or whatever. I didn't go into detail. I just said that's not Islamic. Like, you're not Muslim. So, and I rarely say that. And so, host wasn't there. One of his regulars come on there and just saying, like, you tripping, da 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 da. So he heard that the host heard his regulars coming in. So he come in and he shut it down, like basically kicked them off. So I started talking about a situation that happened with Logic, and I mentioned this in the last live. And by the grace of Allah, Logic popped into the live. Now, I mentioned that I was happy that happened, because I almost fell into backbiting, and Allah protected me from that. So, um, and yeah, I know he's not Muslim, so but we still should be mindful. So, um, after we have the discussion or whatever, so actually that happened before the Muslim brother came. The other Muslim came on there that said that about the Prophet. So I was trying to ask him some questions, but I kind of knew that the host wouldn't keep him up there, so I didn't really waste my time. So when he was up there for a while, I tried to ask him some questions, but nobody wouldn't really let him talk. So when he went down, I said, and this is my opinion, that what I'm saying, like, and I didn't break it down. I didn't even get a chance to break it down, but basically we spent a lot of times talking to people who are known mushriks, right? And somebody come on there with the improper belief of Islam, and we spend hardly any time talking to them, right? They're not being disrespectful, they're not being arrogant. I disagree with that. I'm like, and then at the same time, so right after that, another situation happened where was he Muslim? There's another Muslim brother came up, and a Christian came up, and he started giving all these prerequisites. And I said, listen, whenever somebody do that, coming up saying, can you just answer my question? Yes or no? Da, da, da. I'm like, they about to say something crazy. Normally the host would just take them down, but they didn't. So I'm like, I don't say nothing. So he come on there, yeah, just answer my question. Don't give me a long story. Da, 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 da. He come on there and say, how do we know if Hawa, uh, which is Eve, radiallahu, who was one of the first woman or whatever, if her name is not in the Quran. So, two of the brothers started arguing. Her name is in the Quran, right? Now, me, I'm not the type of person that's like to correct Muslims in front of everybody, unless it's very, very clear that what they saying is absolutely wrong, and I'm trying to do it without creating conflict in front of the non-believers, right? So they go back and forth. Afterwards, they go off. The other Muslim brother on there say, "Yeah, her name is not mentioned in the Quran." So I say the same thing. Like, yeah, her name, as far as I know, her name is not mentioned in the Quran. And me and the brother is like defending it. Like, what I'm saying, like, if that's the case, like, we shouldn't tell them something that's not true. You know what I'm saying? So they try to justify it by saying the Quran and the Sunnah is inseparable, and which I agree with, and that we don't have to. And I said, maybe if we talking to Muslims, but if we talking to Christians, what I'm saying, like, that could be considered deceptive, right? So tensions are already, kind of getting, people justifying, getting defensive. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really saying too much. I said what I had to say already. Um, so I said, well, I said, well, I think so. I said, like, it's. I said, if we gonna, be the people that, come on these pages and try to give dawah to people, we can't be afraid to say either I don't know or um to say I don't know, or if we have the knowledge, if we have the information, we should give it to them. You know what I'm saying? We shouldn't let them leave without clarifying what we mean. You know what I'm saying? Like the host flips on me. So at first I'm kind of lost as to why, right? Then he says, oh, I ain't had time the last time this happened, but I got time today. So I'm kind of lost. I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, because I've been through this before and da da da. Da." Now, as far as I know, what he been through before is a lot of people been telling him that him bringing up a certain Christian brother, that he shouldn't keep doing it. And this happened a couple of times, and the two brothers that I know it happened to, I supported both of them, for the simple fact that you can't you can't gatekeep, or not want to say gatekeep. You can't tell somebody how to run their page, for number one, and you can't stop people from having a conversation, because this app puts us in touch with non-believers, people that believe the same thing as us, but differently, people with all different walks. If you're going to set the standard that you shouldn't talk to people who have committed certain sins, then uh, I think that's a little hypocritical, because I mean, I don't know, I don't even want to go into all of that, but this is what the two brothers got, kind of like the Muslim brothers kind of, had an intervention with them. And, alhamdulillah, I don't think it went as well as it could, because it was a lot of pointing the finger and, like, oh, well, I'm knowledgeable about this. And, I mean, it didn't go well. It was kind of, I'm a warn against you and all this other stuff. And it was kind of messy. I stayed out of it by the grace of Allah. Alhamdulillah. Um, but at the same time, some of these dudes was doxing people. So I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't come on here and try to tell people how to have good manners and you on here doxing people. So that was my whole stance. And, and that's what I said in support of the brother who snapped on me, right? So now when he snapped on me, he like started going into all this stuff. I'm kind of confused. He say, yeah, we should start with something. He say something like, yeah, because we should start with the something as simple as the shahada. So I'm like, I'm listening to him. I'm like, yeah, yeah, maybe. So, but he like, yeah. So what's the shahada? So I'm like, what do you mean? What's the shahada? Yeah, well, what's the shahada? Tell me what the shahada is. So I say, to worship Allah, to worship. I said, to worship Allah without partners, to testify that there's no God but Allah, and that Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is his messenger. Now, I don't know. I'm taking a test right now. Apparently, the brother was mad at me for saying what I said, and then he started going in on me. Yeah, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. You up here talking about people with knowledge, like we shouldn't do this, and that, and you don't even know that you talking a spato and all this other stuff. So I'm like, what is you talking about? So now I'm hot. I'm hot, right? Because you don't do that to another Muslim. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't, especially not in front of the same mushrik that the people were saying that you defended over the Muslims. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I'm really hot, right? But it's social media. What can you do, right? So I'm like, oh, first I didn't know I was taking a test, right? So he like, nah, he's going in. So yeah, I ain't had time last time, but I got time today. So now I'm taking it back, right? Because this somebody that I had a good relationship with, and this sound like some bitch shit. You know what I'm saying? Like some female stuff, right? So I'm like, what? I don't got time. I ain't had time last time. I got time today. Like, am I talking to a woman? All this, strutting and all this. So I don't say nothing. So I'm like, oh, I'm trying to get my piece in, keep getting cut off. I don't say nothing. It's, it's that for the law. The Kafir comes in to defend me. No, I don't. That ain't what he said. I'm like, Yeah, no, you argue. The Kaffir is going in like, no, I don't think that's what he said. I think you're overreacting. So now he listening to him. He wouldn't listen to me, but he listening to him. So the same boy that he had the intervention about because everybody was saying he took his side over the Muslims. Yeah, well, because I've been through this before and da 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 and we da, da, and yeah, people don't even know the Shahada because so the other Muslim brother coming into my defense. Yeah, well, yeah, I know what you're saying. What you said, you said. So then he said, yeah, that's right. No, it's not because he said, well, you can say in truth, you can say in truth. This is semantics. This is semantics. If I'm talking to Muslims and not knowing I'm taking a test, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Because as a Muslim, you should know when we say to worship God that we already talking about certain conditions. We're already talking about certain conditions, right? So, um, so now I'm like, you got it. I leave. I leave. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? He tried to apologize. I mean, he did apologize. He did apologize. I sat there, I thought about it for a little bit, right? Like, damn, should I just, forget this happened or whatever? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, well, my bad if it came off or something. And it's like, no, it came off how you meant it to come off. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, yeah, it's just that, because last time when this happened to me and da, 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 and I'm like, and I said, well, that was misplaced. I told him that. No, it ain't misplaced. Da, da, da. So I'm like, you know what I'm saying? That's why I'm like, all right, well, if you apologizing, I'm telling you that your frustration and anger was misplaced because I didn't come at you, da, 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 then I can't really accept the apology because it's not sincere. So I leave. Now today, right? That day I was hot. I was hot, right? Like I'm like, and I'm grinding myself up because I'm like, you don't even know this person. This is the second time this happened. You don't even know this person, and you letting it affect you. Da, da, da. And I thought, or immediately it came to me. You know what? This is what I get for grinding people up about taking this online stuff too serious. You know what I'm saying? Telling people, oh yeah, y'all think online is real life, and y'all letting people control your actions and that it really got under my skin. And I find myself like this online stuff is scary. I find myself doing what they do. Like I criticize the men when they get on here and start, what I mean, like trying to fix their looks and all that. I'm noticing like I'm my braid that's like my plait that's like keeps sticking up. I'm noticing myself fixing it like vanity. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff that I normally wouldn't even care about. But even though the Prophet ﷺ said that we should take pride in our grooming, and we should groom and take pride in that. So you know what I'm saying? It's a fine line, and I'm finding that on social media, I'm misjudging that fine line. So and I'm alhamdulillah, I'm good at taking breaks, but this is what I get, right? So now I'll go onto this Christian page, Stephen Reacts, right? And this is what I was alluding to in the last video. So Stephen Reacts, he has on Black Doctor and these two dudes like I'm ready to slap fire out of somebody out of one of these two dudes because they had me hot, like hot hot. Let me see what this other dude name is, man. Two nerds on there start talking greasy. I'm like, what's this nerd name? Travis Lee, right? Now I already heard Black Doctor was a nut. I've been hearing his name or whatever. I go into this Steven live because I've been on his live before when I from my old page, and we had a good Discord. He was reading the Quran, and usually when people read the Quran, they end up accepting Islam. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna check on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's good that you're trying to read the Quran. I'm gonna check on you. My live ended up getting suspended indefinitely. I don't know how to get it back, so I started my page over right after like having like 4,000 followers. So um, my new page only at like 800 or whatever, but I got access to. So I don't know if it changed or what. I can go on people live. I just can't turn my camera on. So I'm in there, and I don't know if you recognize me or not, but no matter. I'm respectful. I really, and that's something that is one of my pet peeves. Like I think that Muslims like and this is a part of Islam. Part of giving dawah is your character. Your character is the greatest dawah that you can give. So when I come into these spaces, I'm always respectful of everybody, not just the host, everybody, right? And you get respect until you lose it. Now, I'm in the live and I come on after the Christians finish arguing about who Unitarian, Trinitarian, modality, and all these different names they got for each other. The and I'm basically do this because I'm trying to understand how to give my family better dawah. And I'm trying to understand how they can believe any of this, right? Something that I noticed was not right as a 10-year old. Um, get on here. His topic was like, Jesus wasn't Muslim. Jesus is God. Blah, blah, blah. So I go on there. I say, well, I disagree. I think Jesus was Muslim, and it started off fine. This dude, black doctor, start going in talking to me for like 2 minutes straight. I listen patiently. I go to say something. Other dude jump in. Listen patiently. The boy Travis. Another somebody else get in there, some boy named Geo or something like that. Listen patiently. I go to say something. He like, no, you gotta answer this, black doctor. You gotta answer this question. So I'm like, well, no, you gotta answer a yes or no. I say, all right, well, I answer a yes. They take another roundhouse, go round and round and round. So I'm like, oh, let me correct some of the things that y'all saying because some of the things is wrong. I already said that I said like when we say Muslim, we already defined the criteria for a Muslim. And I say that when we say Islam, we will agree that Jesus didn't practice Islam because Islam wasn't legislated at that time. They go in, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, all right, boom. So I didn't even get to say nothing. I'm just clarifying basically the points so that I can make my claim. They go on another round table. Two more people come. Now I had to wait and listen to five people talk. So I'm like, all right, well, when y'all gonna let me talk? They go on in, go on in. So I'm like, yo, y'all not letting me talk though. So the dude, Black Dog, to say something disrespectful. I forget what he said, like you yapping or something like that. I said, oh, don't. I said, listen, I haven't disrespected you. Please don't disrespect me. He tried to clean it up. Oh well, I'm just yapping. I'm not just like it ain't no big deal. Basically, I'm like, well, it is a big deal. Like what I'm saying, it's disrespectful. So he say something else. I'm like, all right, listen, y'all not letting me talk. There's no point in me being up here. I'm out. I leave. They tell me, oh, he ran. He da da da. You know how to, and that's one of the harms of this TikTok, man. Everybody on here is childish, very childish. So you got dudes on here always talk about, oh, let them cook, let them cook. I'm cooking. Oh, you got cooked. Da da da. What's that? What's that, mamas? It's probably like 5 minutes and it should be done. All right.
Mommy, I.
So that's it. Yeah, I'm cooking. Let me cook. Oh, you running. The Muslims always running. Da, 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 da. Like they got all these little sayings that they always like get my youngin out the camera. They got all these little sayings that they always like, and that stuff don't really bother me. I don't really care too much about that. But I don't really care too much about that. So you know, but they got their little stuff. They tell me, oh, you ran and all this other stuff or whatever. I'm like, no, I'm just not gonna be disrespected. So I eventually end up going back on there, right? So I go back on there, and now the dude trying to act like, oh, you had your chance with me, like like he's somebody. I don't got nothing to say to you. So I'm like, whatever. It's not even his live, mind you. So um, it's another Muslim up there that they like kind of jumping on. Some other Muslims come up now. It's like three. It's like it's like 3 on 3 now. But they don't let none of us talk. They just taking a round table. Now it's like five after that. After they all said a piece, they let like two more Christians in. So now it's five, and they dropped one of the Muslims. It's five of them into us. They not letting none of us talk. They ended up letting one boy Umar talk, and every time he so it's like I noticed something about like people from other countries, like countries in Africa, like Nigeria and stuff like that. Like a lot of times, especially if it's language barriers, they'll tell you yeah as a signal that I understand you. Every time you say yeah, all right, let me explain. They cut them off. You already answered yeah, and it's like clear. This is how like I wonder if this dude is autistic because like with autism you can't you don't understand social cues, and something that's clear to us might not be so clear to him, right? So I don't really jump in. I try to come in and say, well, keep cutting me off. Yeah, you had your chance, and so I'm like, yo, where the host at? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because y'all like y'all acting crazy. So I finally get a chance to say something. I'm like, listen. I said, first off, like why y'all like I say like whatever beef y'all got with Muslims, like won't y'all just deal with us for us and stop bringing in all the old stuff, and we can whatever I say, then I said it. But if I didn't say it, then don't tell me that this is what I think because I'm Muslim. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not cool. And so they don't listen. So I'm like, listen, is we having a conversation or is you just gonna preach to me? I'm like, yo, bro, you arrogant, man. Like you being arrogant. I'm about to leave again. And he like, oh, how I'm arrogant, da, 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 just because basically he think because he's cooking. So that's why I think he's arrogant because the Muslims can never answer these questions, even though he never gave me an opportunity to talk. So it finally reaches a head when start calling me a liar and talking about, yeah, we heard you yapping and all this. And I'm like, bro, stop disrespect. Why you keep disrespecting me? Like be a man, right? I say be a man. Like stop disrespecting me. I didn't disrespect you. Now he gets offended and start going in, and his little homie Travis jumps in and starts talking about the prophet. Man, I flipped. And it's like I usually don't even get into that, but I just usually just leave. But man, why is it like this? But yeah, I flipped out, and and I couldn't you know what I mean, I let him I just had to tell him, like he like, yeah, cause you can be quiet while I'm talking and all of this, like you I'm talking and I'm like, bro, I said you ain't, but for number one, you're not letting nobody talk. And for number two, you're not being respectful. Like, why you feel like you gotta disrespect somebody? Well, yeah, you a liar and all this. I'm like, who are you talking to? And I'm like, be a man. Like I've been respectful to you. Respect me as a man. Well, so they start going on the profit. So they sell them. And I'm like, yo, I said, man, y'all ain't nothing but a bunch of nerds, man, because no man goes around and just disrespect somebody just because y'all got different thoughts. Like y'all a bunch of nerds sitting in front of a screen, and they was mad because apparently a couple Muslims doxed them, and I'm like, this is part of the reason why y'all sit behind these screens. Y'all got anonymity behind these screens, and y'all talk to people as if y'all superior and as if y'all strong and as if y'all tough, but y'all wouldn't talk like this in person. I guarantee y'all wouldn't talk like this in person, and that's one of the things that is so dangerous about this TikTok is because you get a bunch of nerds sitting behind the screen who who get a couple of followers and start to feel like they better than people because they got more followers than them. And by better, they think that they have more authority. And in a real world, that's not how authority work. In a real world, you have to earn authority, right? And if you are disrespectful, there is always this real threat of violence when you deal with men. And and man to man, that's what that is. Man to man is the unspoken rule that if you disrespect me, be prepared to defend yourself physically, because It always been like this. Even the Europeans who never fought fair would take off their glove and slap the opponent as a declaration of war, as a declaration of a feud. Like it's on. That basically meant it's on, right? Now, even then you look at the Wild Wild West, you can challenge somebody to a duel, and that would end up, you would end up, there's only two people walking out. It's only one person walking out of there, and what I mean, this is in time of the knights, you had jousting. Like this goes back to the beginning of time, like even during the time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the Prophet told us, like, the person who is strong is not the person who can wrestle you to the ground, but it's the person who can control his anger, right? Part of controlling your anger is not even getting to that step of violence, because even that one war can that one dispute I can't even get it out. I'm so upset. This one dispute between two people can lead to a tribal war, which can lead to family feuds, or all out war between clans and countries, and you know so on and so forth. Like, you look at a lot of the wars that was fought because somebody woman was taken, or something that seems not petty. Doesn't seem petty. I won't say petty, but it doesn't seem like thousands of men should have died for it, right? And that's the history of men. And you might think it's unsophisticated. You might think that it's not that deep, but in this world we have our honor, and that's directly linked to our honor, right? And if you are a coward, or if you are a weakling, or if you're someone who gets upset and disrespect people because you have thousands of miles between you, then you don't have honor, you know, because honor is the one of the key components of honor is respect. You cannot disrespect somebody unjustly and hold on to your honor. And I can give you an example of that, right? If one of the reasons why in the black community, playing the dozens is something that is not really understood well by the other communities, is because it would seem that you know it's this it was seen that talking about somebody's mom is dishonorable. It's because you dishonoring their mom. Some of the jokes, your mom's so fat, or your mom, this, that's you're verbally stripping the honor from somebody for a gain of laughter, right? And that's considered dishonorable. And um, you can't, and that's unique to our community. When it comes out of the dozens, when it comes outside of the dozens, it often, they say, "Oh, black man, you can't talk about no black man mom," because that's upholding his honor. I mean, you like respecting somebody's mom is respecting their honor. Look at, like, even with this conflict. I don't even want to call it a war, but I don't want to call it a conflict either, between Israel and basically the assault that Israel was doing. Right? What do you see them say the most? Oh, they are mothers of they're sons of whores. Their mother is, like, they always, like, what I'm saying, like, that's one of the most dishonorable things you can do is attack somebody's mom, right? And now that's maybe I don't want to say extreme, because extreme in the sense that this is at the top, and extremes are, if you are in the middle, there's a top and there's a bottom. The extremes are the top and the bottom. So we might interpret extreme as meaning like over the top now, but an extreme is just the opposite ends, right? So your mama jokes is that one extreme, but you know, jokes that concern uh, promiscuity, especially in regards to somebody's mom, is also up there with that extreme. So you'll hear that the worst of the extreme joke is to disrespect somebody's mother and insinuate promiscuity, right? So I don't even know if y'all can hear me. I'll be back here, but yeah, that's just a small example, and yeah, I was so upset this earlier that I just like I really felt like I could throw hands, and I shouldn't be feeling like this over no internet, right? So my intention was to go back and apologize to the host, not to these dudes, because I ended up putting in the chat like, "Yo, this is why you dudes is getting doxxed because you're disrespectful." And there's people out here that's really going to probably do something to you. Like we see the youngins do stuff like that all the time, where they, uh, you know, a lot of their beef start online, and I'm I'm overly critical about that. I think that's the worst thing in the world to throw your life away over some online stuff. But when you're young, you know what I'm saying? It's worth it. You see what I'm saying? And this is why men should be around men because you have to develop a gauge of what's worth it. And it's only being around other men where you know, where you can fine tune your gauge. You have like the companions, like Umar.
Food is done.
Okay, thank you. I'll be there. Where he you know what mentor basically the Sahabas would have the younger people like Ibn Abbas and all of them around, which taught them how to be men. And they saw how these interactions happen. They saw like when this person did this, Umar knocked him upside his head. Or when this person did that, then you know when this person was weak, Umar gave him a pass. But when he was strong, he didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. And it might seem weird, like, oh, if you why would you not get a strong person a pass? Because the strong person you don't get no points in beating on a weak person. You know what I'm saying? Like Islam came to uplift the weak, uphold the weak, and protect the weak. You see what I'm saying? So that's why something like domestic abuse is so frowned upon because you're taking this weak, you're taking the weaker vessel and you're harsh with it and you're physical with it. But it's very unlikely that you would do that with somebody that's strong. So that's a clear difference. A strong man only would be harsh with another strong man under that threat of violence, whereas a weak man will only be strong to another weak person. And the difference nowadays is that the weak man can think that he's strong because he has these tools, this technology to use at his advantage and at his disposal, where he can be in another part of the world and know that he's safe because they have this layer of protection and you know that exists uh, innately in the technology. And, you know, that's all I wanted to say. So a lot of times when we go on to Islam, we're not going to save the ummah by giving dawah online. A lot of times these people already have their minds made up. And when you go against your brother in Islam for the non-believers, then you committing a grave error. And when these non-believers disrespect the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, a lot of times it's because we disrespected the Christianity. Well, not all the time. That's not always the case. You have a group of arrogant people who run around on this app just being disrespectful just because they can. They don't have any, they won't face any consequences. And we need to avoid those people. And we're not going to save them from the fire unless Allah wills it. And I think that it was good advice for the Muslim brothers who warned out against these mushriks who make a living off of off of bad mouth in Islam. And we be um, it'll do us good to just avoid them. My lips a little dry because I had to go to the dentist today. But assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This girl dropped my mouse. Oh man, little girl.